Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our lesson on dividing facts. Previously, we've learned about multiplying multi-digit numbers, and today we are going to work on dividing multi-digit numbers. Do not let division scare you. Think, instead of thinking, oh my gosh, division, I'm so scared, think division is really the opposite of multiplication, and if I can multiply, I certainly can divide. Okay, so again, we're dealing with multi-digit numbers, multiple digits of 0 through 9, so anything 2-digit and beyond. So now this is, again, when we're being asked to think, and this might be a good place to pause again and ask yourself what you know about division, have a deeper understanding. So what is happening when we divide? We remember that when we multiply, it's really repeated addition. Well, if multiplication and division are opposites, and addition and subtraction are kind of those inverse operations, well then we can assume and remember that dividing is really repeated subtraction. Repeated subtraction is really asking how many times or how many groups fit into something. So it's like multiplication, but the inverse operation or the opposite. So 15 divided by 3 is 5. 5 represents the number of times that you can subtract 3 from 15 to get to a remainder of 0. Occasionally you're not going to have something's not divisible, meaning it's not going to get to a remainder of 0, and you might have some remainders or fractions or decimal points, place values at the end. Okay, so kind of be thinking about, this does make sense. If I know 5 times 3 is 15, then I certainly should know that 15 divided by 3 is 5, or 15 divided by 5 would then be 3. Okay? So, long division, something some of us shudder at, but we're going to give it a try. So we're just dealing with whole numbers right now, and you want to make sure you're confident with this before we get to decimals. So what you do is you look at the place values and say, does 4 go into 3? And 4 doesn't go into 3 one whole time, so you put a 0 at the top. Some of you will just know 0 and move on to the next spot. So then we say, well, how many times does 4 go into 35? So we combine those together. Well, 4 goes into 35 8 times, because 4 times 8 is 32. So we say, okay, it goes in there 8 full times with how many left over. So that means that we're going to be subtracting. So we subtract 32 from 35 and get 3. Well, we're working in the next hundredths place there. So we bring this down for 6. And we say, how many times is 9? There's 4 go into 36, which is 9 times. Then we see 9 times 4 is 36. So 4 goes into 36 9 exact times, so there's 0 left over. So this means that 356 divided by 4 is really 89. Over here then, again, 9 doesn't go into 3, so that's 0 times into that, but into 38, I know that it goes in there 4 times. Again, I'm just using my facts about what I know. I'm not even thinking about dividing, I'm thinking about multiplying. I know 9 times 4, and I know that that's 36, and that's close to 38, a little under. So 9 times 4 is 36. So 9 goes in there 4 full times for 36, with 2 remaining. So I bring down the next place, and I say, how many times does 9 go into 22? Well, I know 9 times 2 is 18. 9's not going to fit in there again, so that's the number. 9 times 2 is 18. How many are remaining? Subtract is 4. Bring down my next place value. 9 goes into 45, 5 exact times, because 5 times 9 is 45. So that means that 3,825 divided by 9 is 425. Or 9 times 425 is 3,825. So that's how many groups of 9 fit in there. Last one, again, this might be a good spot if you're feeling ready, is the 2-digit number. So we know that 12 doesn't go into 6. But into 64, I always think of a clock. A clock has 12 numbers, going all the way around, 1 through 12, and between each number is 5 minutes. So 12 times 5 gives me a 60-minute clock. So I do 12 times 5, which gives me 60. So it fits in there 5 times with 4 of that 64 remaining. Bring down my 48. And I know that 24 hours in a day times 2, so half of a day is 12. I know that 12 goes into 2 days 4 times. 4 times 12 is 48. So 12 fits into 648, 54 exact times. All right, a couple more for you to give you, again, more multi-digits and just more practice. These steps are pretty vague, so I don't know if they're totally worth writing down. They might be, depending on how you operate. And again, you're going to learn a lot about yourself as a student this year. So you divide, then you multiply to check, you subtract to find the remainder, dropping down the next digit, and repeat. So those are what we are doing. They're just kind of vague steps if you're not sure. So see if you can connect those to what we're doing here. So 32 is a larger number. It's not going to go into 18. Doesn't go into 1, doesn't go into 18. It will go into 185. No, you guys, I am not an expert on all these math facts. So what I do to kind of estimate how much 32 fits into 185 is I say, well, 3 times 4 would be 12. So 30 times 4 would be 120. So I'm going to estimate here. And then that'd be about 120. Well, 180 is 60 more, so I think it could fit in there another time. So I'm going to try 32 times 5, and I kind of do the multiplication on the side to check how many it will fit. So I do 5 times 2, which is 10, 5 times 3, which is 15, plus 1 for 160. Well, it won't fit in there another time, so I pick 5. 5 times 32 is 160. So I just divided, I multiply, and I find my difference. So there's a difference of 25 there. I bring down my 6. So now I'm thinking, okay, well, I know 32 is going to go into 256 more than 5 times. So I think, okay, maybe 7, maybe 8. You just try a number using estimation. I know, again, I look at my 3, and I say, okay, well, 30 times about 8, 3 times 8 would be 24. So 30 times 8 should be around 240. So I'm going to try 8. And I do pick 8 here. And then I do 32 times 8. And I get 16. Carry the 1. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 1 is 25. Look at that. 8 times 32 is 256. So I have a remainder of 0. Meaning 32 goes into 1,856 58 times. You can pause and try this one. So again, goes into 1 0 times, goes into 19 0 times. 74 should go into 190. Again, I'm going to use my estimation. 74, I could look at just the 7 and say, well, 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 3 would be 21, so I think that would be too much. So I try, should go in there 2 times. 74 times 2, 148. I find the difference, how many are left over, and I get that that is 42. Again, borrowing the 8. 10 minus 8 is 2. 8 minus 4 is 4. Bringing down the next place value. Notice I'm following these steps. Okay, so 429. Well, it's definitely going to go in there 2 more of these. We'd be at 4, so it's going to be more than that. So I'm going to try 5. So I say, well, 74 times 5, get 20. Then I get 35 plus 2 is 370. And I find the difference. So I subtract. 12 minus 7 is 5. And then I'm bringing down the 2 for the next place value. And if I know that 74 went into 370 5 times, it's going to be more than that for this. So we'll almost double. but not quite. So I'm not going to pick 10. I might pick 8 now. So then I do 74 times 8. So this is a lot of work, but notice it is really just a lot of multiplication more than division. So then I get 32. 7 times 8, remember, is 56. 5, 6, 7, 8. Plus that 3 is 592. So 74 fits into 592 exactly 8 times. 74 fits into 19,092 252 times. All right, I know these are a little bit bigger. I'm going to set them up for you. These ones are going to have remainders. This might be one where we want to try on our own. This is going to lead us into decimals a little bit. So let's set them up the right way. Notice division, we are trying to figure out how many times 88 goes into, think into the house with 10,868. This one we're trying to figure out how many times 450 can get into 15,618. So, see if these a try again. We know 88 doesn't go into 1, it doesn't go into 10, but it does go into 180. So we'll go into 108, probably just one time. So then we go 1 times 88 is just 88. That's a difference of 20. So we bring down our 6. If it goes in there, I'm going to estimate about twice. How about I do 88 times 2, and I get 176. Let's see if it'll fit in there one more time. So I add an 88, and I get 264. So that doesn't fit in there. So it's just 2 times for 176. That's a difference of 30. Bring down the 8. Well, look, I know what goes into here 3 times. So I do the 3. And I do 8 minus 4 is 4. 10 minus 6 is 4. And now notice I'm going past the number. So notice I'm having to fill in a 0 here to bring down. That means I'm going past the decimal point. So this is where you put in a decimal and put that up there. Here's what I know about this one. I know that 88 times 8 times 5 is 40. So I'm going to assume that 88 times 5 would be 440, sorry. And when I do that on the side, it does work out, and it fits in there evenly. Okay? So sometimes you're going to get a decimal answer. That just means that it doesn't fit in there exactly with no remainders. This would really be 123 1/2. Okay? So please, ladies and gentlemen, do not be overwhelmed by division. Just remember that it's really just multiplication in reverse. And so you got to do a little bit of estimating and checking, and that'll help you out. If you think of division in a multiplication sense, you will do a lot better. I promise you that. So let's do our best here.